This episode of the Long Run Podcast is sponsored by Skechers.
Hello, everybody, and good evening. It's 7 o'clock. It's Friday night. It is time for the Long Run live stream and podcast. I'm Ian Wilkinson. I'm joined by Chris Ford, Toby Frost, Sabrina Ahmed, guest appearance, and Louise Ford, because we're going to be talking to Louise. She's just started her marathon training. So we are going to be talking about how it's going after a couple of weeks and perhaps highlighting any potential pitfalls that you might fall into yourself. 100 days until the London Marathon. So thanks ever so much for joining us. Usual sort of chit chat. We're brought to you by the FORDY Runs running community and our good friends at Skechers. It has been a very busy week. Christopher, what you been up to?
I don't really know. Yeah, it's been one of those weeks. I've had an extra rest day this week. Ooh. and it's sort of, I don't know, it's caught me out a little bit because, yeah, it's weird. Having an extra rest day is weird. Let me know, anybody who's listening live, watching live, if you, I don't know, taking an extra rest day, it just feels like you should be running, but you're not. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes, actually, email in at whatever it is. What is it, Wilco?
It is longrunshow@gmail.com. You can send us an email whenever you like. And also, if you are watching live, if you've recorded it, if you download it as a podcast and you're listening while you're doing your long run on Spotify, Apple, Amazon, wherever you get it from, you won't be able to do this. But if you're listening live now, watching live, looking at us, you'll be able to see it on Facebook and YouTube. You'll be able to add your comments. So feel free to chip in. People are already saying hello, which is lovely. Toby will send an email onto a message on the Facebook. So if you can log on there, then we can see your name and we can say hello to you rather than just Facebook user, which is the worst name in the history of the world. And we don't want to talk to anybody called that. So if you could identify yourself, then we'll say hello.
Yeah. Well done, Wilco. You got a lot of information over there very quickly. That was good. But you still didn't answer my thing about having a rest day.
Having a rest day. Well, in a minute, mate, you know, I'm just getting back from being on the bench. So for a little while, every day's been a rest day. So
every day's a minute. Yeah. So to answer your question, good week, mixed. Running wise, don't really know. Feels a bit weird. But the reason is because I'm saving myself for our secret mission tomorrow that I can't talk about, even though I want to talk about it because it's going to be epic.
Oh.
Does anyone know, by the way, proper question here, I'll put this out. There's no point emailing in because I need to know like tonight. Can you like hide stuff on Strava? So if I do something tomorrow on Strava, can I hide it so nobody can see it?
Yeah, you can hide fruits and stuff.
What, before or after I've done it?
Oh, you can say it to do it beforehand if you want to.
Do it before?
Yeah, so settings, change it private and then.
Right, okay. So Tobe, we're gonna need to sort that out tomorrow.
We're going to like a military base or something.
No, it's worse. So, but we can't. It can't be anywhere that we've been there. No, that doesn't make any sense. Oh. But nobody can know where we've been. You following me? So everyone tomorrow is now going to be looking on Strava where Tobe and I have been, right?
Well, you're not going to tell us. It's not going to be on Strava. You just said you're going to hide it on Strava. So looking for you on Strava would be completely.
Yeah, but that's if I can manage to do it. You've got to remember, I am an idiot. So it's unlikely that I'm going to be able to do it. If anything, I'm probably going to do something that I shouldn't do and probably delete my Strava profile, which actually is not. And I want to make I actually want to do an episode about this. I reckon we pre-record for when we're large in it. Like you'll be out spending all your 50s that you got in your Nike box in Dubai. But when I'm away with the kids, we've got a pre-record. So I think we should pre-record an episode and talk about runners' addiction to Strava. Because I actually genuinely think, right? So send your emails into I'm addicted to Strava at longrun.com, right? But I think it is genuinely a serious problem amongst runners now that we are hooked on this cocaine-fueled A-class drug that is Strava. Now, I'm probably now going to get about 15 letters from their solicitors saying that.
Yeah, this is it, mate. We take that back. We're not linking that
I didn't
anyway
mean.
to the sort of thing.
What I'm trying to say is, are we addicted to Strava? Is it actually now at the point, and Strava and other applications, put that out there, Wilco, got myself out then.
I'm doing a lot of digging you out of a hole here, mate.
Are we actually, as runners, addicted to posting our runs on platforms where there's multiple different choices you can make? But like, so for example, this week on what day was it? Thursday. Si and I, we went time based. We got to 2 hours and we said that's us done, right? But we are still. We was talking. Oh, we should do 13 miles. Really, the only reason we wanted to do 13.1 miles is because we know that we wanted the mileage on Strava. We didn't say it, but we knew it, right? I genuinely think there is an underlying issue amongst runners being addicted to putting mileage up on these things. I think it's unhealthy and it's getting worrying. So
yeah, we'll definitely have a chat about that one week. Before we go on today, just want to say Alan's not here. He's sunning himself in Florida, the lucky so-and-so. And even his Wi-Fi wouldn't stretch that far. He's usually in some hotel somewhere in, I don't know, waiting for the Bognor Regis Park run or something like that, and the next day or doing something like that. But yeah, he's actually gone away on his holiday, so we let him have a week off. And Sabrina stepped in, which is a very gallant effort because the poor love, she's been under the weather this week, which meant that she was unable to join us at a very fun-packed evening at the St Albans Solstice 10K on Tuesday. How are you feeling, mate?
Is FORDY about to say something?
No, don't worry about him.
I'm not saying anything other than there have been rumours around that she's actually been away this week and been using that as an excuse for not attending stuff. But I don't know where they started, Toby.
Yeah, I mean, I wish I'd been away. I haven't left the house since Saturday night. Yeah, so nearly a week. I felt better, I'll be honest, but I'm on the mend now. So, and I was gutted to miss Tuesday night. So,
and I've got to say though, a couple of the Fordies raised their games and dropped you some lovely little presents, didn't they?
Yeah, I've had flowers. I've had goodie boxes full of biscuits and chocolates and all kinds of lovely stuff. So, thank you everyone for your well wishes and your kind gifts. They're much appreciated.
So Sabrina's going to try and help us out tonight and keep in touch with all the questions and observations that come up on the chat that will go into the thing. And I just want to say hello to Louise as well before we went any further, because you may remember a few months ago Louise was on and she was talking about a canicross, about running with her dog, which is excellent, but she also got a ballot place to run her first marathon at London this year. And we having a chat and some vigorous negotiations that sort of like rivaled the Brexit deal to sort out bringing her on and talking about her training program. So we're here today. She's a couple of weeks in. So I just want to say hello, Louise. Welcome back. And yeah, I'll ask you firstly, generally, how's it going?
Not as well as I'd hoped.
Oh.
So this week I ended up with a really bad water infection and I couldn't really travel very far from home.
Right.
So I haven't really been able to run because I just need to be able to go properly anywhere.
So you've had a few injury problems as well, haven't you?
Yeah. Yeah, my knee's still ongoing.
Yeah, do you want to sort of set the scene for us?
Yeah, so basically about 2 months ago I had a kind of like a bit of a like jarring feel in my right knee, and it's just not quite. It did get really bad at one stage, and I could barely walk. And then this got a lot better. So I was hoping to get out again, and then then I got a walk.
So it's not been the ideal starting.
Sunday, like I've started getting up. So I basically want to do more week and then one long. was my
Yeah, Louise, we're just losing you. We're just going. If we could log you off, and then we'll come back to you in a sec. We'll just have a chat about a couple of other things, and then we'll see how we can get on. Is that all right?
Yeah.
Because you just keep breaking up at the sec. So
Yes,
yeah, we'll just
we're live, people. We're live. This is the wonder of being live. It's like, you know, when Ant and Dec. This is very similar. It's like Ant and Dec when it all goes wrong. Do you know you done well, Wilco, there to jump in, because poor old Louise is, bless her, she's struggling with her internet and her sound. And but that's the problem when we're live, isn't it? What can we do? And do you know what? We're going to put it out like this because we don't care. Because it's got to be raw and it's got to be raw and authentic, isn't it?
Exactly. And of course, if the worst comes to worst and we can't get it back, it means that we haven't got a plan next week because we can just do it again.
Yeah, we just wing it as usual. I mean, it is good. Oh, someone's just mentioned sketch. I've got to give a big shout out to Sketchers because thanks to everybody who entered that competition, which is I've just seen a comment. Is Louise using ours Wi-Fi? I think you're right, actually, Aaron. I think you're absolutely on the money. Al has given Louise his Wi-Fi. By the way, Wilco, did you tell him he's in Florida with all the old people?
Yeah, I don't know.
This is where he's gone. Al's gone to Florida to visit all the other old people that he knows to eye up the home that he's going to stay in. He's not here, so we can say anything we like. But anyway, I was talking about Sketchers. So thanks to everybody, and there was a lot of you that entered the competition. And Sketchers, it was Paul
surprise, mate. What did we have?
Bolts. Paul _ Bolts, and he won a pair of new running shoes. But there was loads of them entered. So, but they announced that today, or I announced. No, I did it, I think. But they told me who. I can't.
Sorry, mate. Can you just say that again? Because I talked right over the top of your name.
It was Paul _ Bolts. Paul
who's bolted up and won the.
So he's got his Sketchers. He's happy. And off we go. I see she's using Alan's internet. Poor old Louise.
Oh.
She's got about 1 million questions about the London Marathon, and her Wi-Fi is as good as ours. What we should have done is got her to email them in, really.
Yeah, and then we could have just sort of like.
Then we could have read them out.
Them off. I see Aaron Newton has said that. Aaron, thanks very much, mate. And you made a bit of a trek to come down to St Albans on Tuesday. It was lovely to meet you. It was great.
Yeah, that was good. Yeah, actually, talk about St Albans. What did you think about it, Wilco?
Well, it's obviously a bit of a novelty to be running because this was the summer solstice thing. Obviously,
we better tell the listeners and the viewers what we're talking about. Actually, it's a good point. Yeah, sorry about that.
It was the summer solstice run, so it was the longest day on Tuesday. So it was 10K at St Albans on a familiar-ish sort of course. We've started there before, but we went on a different, a bit of a different course. But it started at 8 o'clock, so that was a bit of a novelty, wasn't it?
Yeah, I personally enjoyed the food. We went there to eat, basically. But what I can't get over, and you'll see it in the video, it comes out on Sunday, is that basically I was shocked, and I just couldn't believe it was £13 we paid, 1-3 to enter that race. I just couldn't get over the value. And so I makes a comment at the end of the video, which is valid, and we spoke about this on here, about the cost of races. You think A6 10K, what is it? 45 quid, 60 quid? I've got no idea.
I think it's north of 50, isn't it?
Yeah, 50.
Yeah, north of 50. Big friends of the show, A6 10K. But that's that much. All right, they've got to shut down London. Slightly different to running around a few dodgy park lanes in St Albans and no closed roads. But 13 quid for what was not a wooden medal. And a pucker barbecue after with vegan sausages, which were tasty, Toad.
They weren't exactly vegan, I think, is the tasty thing about them.
Oh, I did ask for a vegan sausage. I can't obviously comment.
Yeah, and then you chucked that back at me.
It did amuse me one bit out on the course where we went in sort of like a residential area, and there was a bit of an oversight because Wednesday was obviously bin day. So you had to dodge a few wheelie bins out in the middle of the street.
Oh, it was fun though, wasn't it? There was loads of us there.
Yeah, we had a great time.
It was a great run. We had just a laugh, seeing everybody coming home. It was just typical FORDY runs.
That's what it's all about, mate, wasn't it?
Yeah, we just met up, had a giggle, run about a bit, and then ate some food. Or as you did, Wilco, have a drink. But I tell
I'm
you
not
what,
strictly non-alcoholic, mate.
weren't the littering bad though in the car park, Wilco?
Yeah. I did notice a couple of things. I did say to somebody, "Oh, look, some hooligans left their cups all over my car."
Yes,
Wonder who that might have been.
I do. I think he's. I'll be honest
Did
with you.
you
I think
see
he's
anything? Because you couldn't have been much quick. It wasn't much long after I'd left my
No,
car that I
no.
saw you leaving. So,
Where was your park?
did you see anybody? I was right
No,
up on
but
the
I tell you who might know. He's in Valencia this weekend, and he ran quite a quick time on Tuesday night. So he might have had a couple of extra cups to rehydrate and needed to put them somewhere. I'll just put that out there.
Oh, right.
Yeah. So
Valencia, eh? Nice.
yeah, he's large in it. I told you, the boy's large in it. Right. So we've got 5,000 comments coming in. So keep them coming, people. Thanks everybody who's watching live. Thanks everybody who's contributing. As we always say, this show only does what it does with you guys contributing live. So thank you very much. Admin's here purely to keep an eye on you guys. So admin, what we got?
Right, first question. Gary Jones said he hasn't run for about a year. He's put on a bit of weight, which he's looking to lose, and needs a stability shoe. What do you recommend?
He's not run for a year. Needs a stability shoe.
Yeah.
Put 3 stone on. Oh, well, you kind of put your own answer in there, really. You need to shift the weight. Have a look at the Saucony Shift. It's not an out-and-out stability shoe, but it's quite a wideish platform. And for bigger guys, it's quite a good shoe. I would always recommend the Glide Ride, and I would particularly recommend the Glide Ride 3. It's slightly softer than last year's model, but that's always a good alternative as well. But if you need an out-and-out stability shoe, then you might need to go somewhere else. Don't go Brooks, please. But there's plenty of other options out there. But yeah, so personally, I'd have a look at the Saucony Shift if it was me.
Cool. Next one on trainers quickly is Rob Barnett watched your video today in the review of the Saucony Speed 3. I just wanted to ask, is it a stable shoe or not? He didn't quite.
He's taking the mickey. It's because in the video, and I deliberately did this, I mentioned it about 62 times. And that was deliberate because most people from the Saucony Speed, they commented about the fact that it's unstable. So I made sure I was clear on the point.
Right.
Next
one, leg cramps. So this is a Facebook user, but completed a half marathon in Derby last weekend. Finished in 1:34, so speedy time. Same issue though, around 1 hour 20 that he's had before, which is cramping his legs. Have you got any tips or advice?
We spoke about this. Alan spoke about this last week, didn't he? In depth. I would say to listen back to last week's podcast. Not only does that help the podcast get more listens. Thanks very much. But no, and on a serious point, listen to that because Alan actually goes into some depth about it. He talks about electrolytes and the benefits. Yeah. Have a look at your hydration. Have a look at what you're taking on before, during, and after. Look at your diet. Maybe you've got too much salt, not enough salt. Those are the sort of things that I would be looking at in terms of cramps. But on a sip, please listen back to what Alan was saying last week because he really added some value around cramping.
Yeah.
Can I just jump in and talk about stability shoes for a second? Chris, do you think too many people buy stability shoes who don't need them?
I think people don't get their gait analysed regularly enough. Actually so. As runners, we develop according to what we're doing. We will strengthen, and obviously we get weaknesses in different places as we train. Whether that's through a lack of strength training or sometimes you're doing a little bit too much strength training and you're compensating for other things, old injuries and all that sort of stuff. So I would always recommend if you're going into a block of training, it's worth it. Most of the time it's free, a lot of places. Don't go to, Mickey Mouse sportsshoes.com or whatever they're called, where they get some spotty 13-year-old to tell you to buy Brooks. But go and get yourself a gait analysis just before you maybe go and do a new block or a couple of weeks into it once you've got into it, because you do change, Wilco, and develop as a runner. Look at, like, we take the mickey out of Al, but our move from being a pronator, and he, changed his form and worked hard to change his foot strike, and he did, he's now not necessarily in a stability shoe. So I think it's people tend to go and buy what they're told, 5-10 years ago, and actually chances are they've changed and they could be making the situation worse. So that's what I would look at personally. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, because I think sometimes it's sort of like stability is a cautious word, isn't it? You know, people will see stability and think, "Oh, yeah, that'll be good for me," and then perhaps
no,
it might not be. Do you see what
it
I mean?
can have a negative effect as well. So you've got to make sure you're in the right shoe for you. Now there is a variation of stability. There's a variation of everybody's foot. We all naturally do have pronation. Yeah. And now again, I'm not, it's going to really surprise a lot of you out there, but I'm not a doctor. Right. And I'm not a is it a pediatrician, toe, feet?
No,
Podiatrist.
podiatrist.
Right.
The kids, isn't it? Pediatrician. There you go. She tells you I'm not qualified. But either way, I don't know what I'm talking about a lot. But what I can say is in terms of your pronation, we all do pronate slightly anyway. It's just you've got a slight imbalance, maybe somewhere else in your body, you're going to be compensating for it down in your legs, whatever. So you do need to check where you're at, and the fear of stability shoes, or that's going to make me feel better, might actually have the reverse effect. So you could feel like, oh, I'm pronating, but actually you're not. You could be under pronating, and it's going to cause you more complications. You might need a higher stacked shoe. You might need a lower stacked shoe. You might need a 0 drop shoe, like an Ultra, where it's a more natural shoe. So, you know, you might need to go to that extent to get the best out of it. So again, go back to my original point. Get yourself a gait analysis and a decent one, and hopefully they won't put you in Brooks. But if they do, there must be a good reason. Shout out to Brooks. Love you.
We love Brooks.
Next.
Right, Bud Lynch said he's shortly going to be starting a 16-week marathon block for Newport, first marathon. He's got half marathon races, which are on the same day as the longest runs of the training block. How does he catch up on the missing mileage, or should he?
Never catch up on missing mileage. Never. And what you should have done, Bud, schoolboy error, when you're looking at your training plan, you should have selected what weekends you're going to put those races in and worked your plan around that. Obviously, it's easy to sit here and say, you know, benefits of a tailored plan. Nobody's got the money to do that at the moment. So what I would say is, what is a priority for you? Ideally, you're looking to do a decent half marathon about 8 weeks out from the end of your race, at the end of the goal race, right? So you know where you're at in terms of ticking boxes. Am I, you know, physically fit? You can check some gear out, but more importantly, has the training started to take effect? Because 8 weeks is bang in the middle of a 16-week plan. We work in what we call mesocycles. Admin, you know about these sort of things. Yeah. And usually any change you start to see the results 6 to 8 weeks later. By putting a half marathon in at 8 weeks within the plan, it is a good sort of litmus test on where you're at. If you run hard, how do you feel after that? Like we did it at saying this about Edinburgh because of Crash and Burn, but we put down that time, London Landmarks 1:38, felt good after it, no real side effects. So I knew that my training was on plan. I then a couple of weeks later put that time down for me, 42 minutes, 10K. I can't remember what it was. Vitality. Again, same on track. But my point is I put those races into my plan as part of the plan, and I built the plan around them. I would remove races that I don't need to do. So we're arguing every weekend at the moment about the big half because it doesn't really suit, I don't think, to do it. But that said, the boys want to do it. So FOMO, I'll probably end up doing it. But actually, it doesn't really suit. So if I do it, I'll go there with an aim of running that at goal pace. So that's my advice to you, buddy, is if you can't move those, then I would look to structure the run in a way that you're getting something out of it. Whether that's you're going to do that run at goal pace, 13 miles at goal pace. So it's a good, tester for the day. Or you're going to split over the weekend. You're going to do maybe 6 miles on the Saturday, super easy, or do that quick in terms of goal pace. And then you do the 13 miles as an easy effort. But you want to max what you're doing and don't get sort of caught up in chasing mileage, chasing times. But you need to be strategic if you're going to get the best out of your 16-week training block, is my advice to you.
What about, sorry, Chris, just on that, what about sort of we're managing races around the plan. Can you manage the plan around races if you want to do them? You know, if they're big events.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, again, and I've done that for clients. I'll say to them, right, next 16 weeks, what have we got? Okay, so you got a 10K. Right, let's put that in. That's going to be a down week, but I want you to go hard in that 10K. For whatever reason, like we've got Wear 10s coming next weekend, and it's a great event. Wear joggers, fantastic club and that a lot. But to be honest with you, I could do without it. I'd rather be going out and doing 20 miles. But it is a race that we want to support, and a lot of 40 runners do it. So what we're doing is we're going to break up the weekend, and we're going to do a kind of bit of Hansonish, you know, following on from Al, and split our mileage up over the weekend, but still with a purpose. And that's the thing. So we've got the benefit of having the ability to move out, because sounds big-headed, but we're relatively experienced when it comes to training blocks, and you know we've been through the rodeo a few times now, right? So we can adjust accordingly. So yes, you can build a plan around races. Like I've built this plan around my holiday, and you can do that because you know what your end goal is, and you can factor in the difference. It's hard for people, and that's why Bud's question's a good one, because if you're not in the fortunate position, which most people aren't, to get a tailored plan, then where did the adjustment come? So hopefully I've answered that.
I do think as well, it's important to note that if this is your first marathon, that yes, it's a physical demand, but doing a marathon plan is a very mentally demanding thing as well. And doing a race and having a good day out and seeing your mates like at a big 40 event or something like that, it can really give you a lift, particularly if you're in sort of like the middle of a plan and the mileage is kicking in and you're getting a bit fed up and
yeah, I mean,
like
admin's a perfect
sometimes
person.
it can really give you a
London,
lift.
wasn't it, admin? You was running with the Broxbourne lot.
Yeah, we've done it. We did it even last time. Landmarks was the biggest, probably like positive, but we knew it was coming. We planned around it. We planned around Vitality 10K. If I was going to do another marathon block now, you plan around the A6 10K, because I know that that's one that I'm going to want to do. So, but I think it's really important to the point earlier, which don't worry about catching up on missing miles. It's really easy to think, oh, I missed that 3 mile run, or I've missed 2 miles off the end of the day. Last year, I remember when I think I did 3 half marathons 3 weeks in a row, and it got to the big half, and I was like, oh God, do I need to run 2 miles beforehand? And you went, no, just don't worry about it. Those 2 miles in the grand scheme of things aren't going to make any difference.
I go back to my point. We're all addicted to Strava and other apps, running-based apps.
Sorry, believe in the plan, you know?
Yeah.
Believe in the plan.
That has got to be, in 53 weeks, that has got to be the longest answer we've ever given to somebody's answer.
Yeah, I actually think we should give ourselves a round of applause. Not only did we answer a question, we kind of answered it properly. And yeah, and we I don't know where we added value. That's probably a strong word. But I forgot. Guys, I forgot. I had one job to do, and that was to say hello or hola to our Mexican listener.
Mexican?
We're now the biggest running podcast in Mexico. I kid you not. Hola, ¿cómo está?
Oh.
See, I was going to put El Gringo on there, but I thought it might get lost on you lot. So, but we are now massive in Mexico.
And
who
Hong
doesn't
Kong.
like
We were
Mexico?
banging in the listeners in Hong Kong last week as well, so that's great.
Yeah, that was good. That was good. So, I mean, let's keep rolling because Louise is back.
Hello.
Oh, that's better.
Have you got Al's Wi-Fi? Have you got rid of Al's Wi-Fi?
I swapped to the laptop instead of the computer.
Oh, that is so much better. And she is clear as the proverbial bell.
And Louise, you've come in just at the right time because we're gonna cut. You can line up all your questions, and we're gonna answer as many of them as we can in like a short period of time. But we're just cracking through because there's like 3,000 questions.
So, Louise, if we just recap quickly about where the bits that we lost.
Yeah.
That, you know, you've had injured, you had other issues. Can you just talk about what's been going on for the last few weeks?
Yeah. So I had started my training, and I was basically wanted to start running more a week because I'd kind of eased off a bit the last few weeks and things. So I'd started building up. I was doing 3 to 4 runs a week, and I was doing between 15 and 20 miles across the week. And then obviously my knee had been really playing up, so I had to kind of ease off for a bit and rest that. And then this week I was like, I kind of started cracking on last week, did a 10-mile run on Sunday and was kind of really getting into it. And then I've ended up with really bad water infection the last few days, and I can't really be too far away from the toilet.
Oh,
Because I
right.
feel like I'm gonna wee all the time. So I've not really been able to run this week because it's like trying to plan it where you might be able to duck off somewhere is a bit hard, especially when you're on your own. Because on the dog walks during the day, it's not as quite as bad. I can kind of sneak off and get somebody else to watch out if someone's coming. But obviously, when you're out running on your own, it's a bit harder.
Blimey.
I have to say, I didn't think we were talking about that tonight.
No.
Yeah.
No, poor Louise. But there we go. But
yeah,
I won't worry, Louise. You've got plenty of time, so don't worry. We'll come on.
I mean,
we'll help you.
I'm running the
Don't worry.
Leamington Half Marathon on Sunday, so that's kind of like see how I'm at, I guess.
Take it easy. Take it easy. You're in the building phase, yeah. You just don't want to go berserk now and try and catch up with stuff or chase stuff, or if anything, you want to make sure you do your slowest half marathon on Sunday.
Yeah, this is what everyone's been saying to me because I shoot off too fast at the start of runs. So like,
all right, well, there's a challenge then. So let me
Yeah.
know what's your current. What roughly do you do a half marathon in? I'm not talking PB. What roughly do you feel comfortable doing a half marathon in?
probably about 2.5 hours.
Okay,
about that.
so do 2:35. Let me know.
Yeah.
Do 2:35. Dead aim. Try and get a 2:35 half marathon on Sunday. See if you can do it.
Yeah, I'm gonna try because I don't want to go too fast, but then obviously I don't
2:35.
want
Pace it.
to-
100%. Look at your splits. Dead aim. Even splits. The whole thing. Let us know next week if you got it. 2:35 is my challenge to you.
Okay.
So what do you work in, Louise? Do you do miles or do you work in kilometres?
I do miles.
Tobe, what's that?
I'm going
Look
to try
at
and
miles.
see.
Look at him. Look, he's asleep. Louise, he's actually asleep.
Yeah, he doesn't. You know. Yeah, just talk amongst yourselves a minute, and I'll see if I
Yeah,
can.
we're going to work it out.
Work out how quick.
Because if you dead aim that, because you've got to think this could be the start of the marathon.
Yeah, well, because like we did the 2 Castles 10K not last Sunday, the Sunday before, and I just shot off way too fast at the start because I'm so used to doing it. And then
Louise,
everyone,
your marathon training.
Yeah.
You've got to remember your marathon training. You need to be, we should be anyway, at the moment, doing everything easy, just building, getting your consistency, getting your patterns,
Yeah.
making sure your frequency is nice, getting some confidence within the pace, and just running free and easy. You're just building. Your goal is in 16, well, less, it's 100 days, your goal.
Yeah.
You need to chill out and just remember that the goal is 100 days, not this weekend.
Okay, I've got 11-minute 45-second miles. Will give you a half marathon of 2 hours 34.2.
Yeah.
11:50 gives you 2:35 and 8 seconds. So
there you go.
There you go. So, Louise,
Yeah.
dead aim every mile 11:50. Try and pace it to perfection. If you manage 11:50 per mile,
Yeah.
and get there, or nearest damn, I'll send you a new T-shirt.
Okay.
God. Now, could you possibly think of any greater incentive?
And how much grace should we give her? Because I'm a nice guy. I feel in a good mood. How much grace in terms of 30 seconds out overall?
Well, why don't you say every mile's got to be between 11:45 and 11:50?
There we go.
Isn't it?
Dead aim. It's good pacing practice. Now, we're making it, but it's good pacing practice because you've got to get anybody marathon training really. You've got to get on top of your pacing and you've got to get on top of your race craft because it will help you over those 26 miles. If you're doing your first one, chances are you're going to go off like a bat out of hell and you're going to crash and burn, or you might actually go off too slow. So you want to try and really now and get some confidence and get some comfort in working at paces and managing your pace early. So when it comes to race day, you've got your strategy, you know what you're doing, and you know that you can pretty much go even or go under, whatever your strategy is on the day, whether it's to negative it or go positive, as Tobe loves to do and tell everybody. But whatever that is. So practice now. Start practicing. It'll also stop you from racing too hard, which is what I was trying to say to you earlier.
Yeah.
You've got to remember you're in a marathon training plan. This is the building phase of getting yourself ready for the sort of next phase, which is stamina speed that's going to be coming at you. So just
Yeah,
give
'cause
yourself something to do.
we did do like a 10-mile run on Sunday, and that was very kind of slow for like what
That's
I
good.
normally do. But
Yeah, you want to run
really
easy.
enjoyed it though. Like, but yeah, it was kind of a lot slower than I'd normally go.
Good.
But yeah,
You're not trying to tire yourself. How many times a week are you running at the moment?
I'm trying to do 3 or 4.
Yeah, okay. That's
But then
right.
obviously I walk every day, 12 days.
Yeah. No, I know
Yeah.
with your job. But that's good cross training, right? So
Yeah.
we're here.
So,
So
Chris, what
yeah.
other things should people be thinking about if they're doing their first marathon and they're sort of it's the opening sort of like fortnight of the plan and they're just you've got that initial excitement and now you're beginning to knuckle down a little bit, aren't you? What sort of things are people going to be thinking about and what potential sort of pitfalls can they fall into at this stage?
Right now, as I said, it's that building phase. The first 3 weeks, I think this is week 3. If you're on plan, if you're on let's say a 16-week plan, which is generally what it is. The pitfalls are you're doing everything in sort of dead zone, which Al talks about, your grey zone, you're running too fast. You're doing everything at a level that's not really making any gains. You're not going too easy. So you're building that base, but you're not going hard enough to really max out the session. So you're sort of training probably a little bit too much. So you either want to be going easy or you want to be going hard. It's one or the other, right? It's no point being in the middle. So there is an element of that. There's an element of overrunning. People tend to overrun at the start. They get all excited. Oh, wow, this is awesome. And you're in that phase at the moment where you're not yet physically and mentally tired. You're actually the opposite. You're like a dog with a new bone. You like want to tell everyone and you want to get, just go out and run and I'm marathon training. This is awesome. But you will come to that point in like a couple of weeks when every run's a pain. Every run feels hard. Mentally, you're done. You're eating too much. You're thinking, I'm getting fat doing this. And, you're just exhausted, which you will come through. So, again, go back a step, take everything easy, know the fact that there's going to be hard work coming and be ready for it. So lay all the foundations to get ready for that next phase of the plan. The first 4 weeks is all about building that base, getting your frequency and getting your consistency and working on those little bits that you need. And it doesn't matter what level you're at.
So just getting used to, so for Louise, just getting used to sort of like going out 4 times a week, getting into the sort of like doing perhaps one interval or speed session a week and getting into the practice of doing a long run at the weekend
and recovering.
just getting into the mechanics of it all.
And maxing your recovery. Louise is, because she's been on the show before, we know she like walks thousands of miles every day walking the dogs, right? But you need to max your recovery to make sure that you're recovered or recouped enough, ready to go again. Because there's again what we spoke about the other week: overtraining, undertraining. You're at the early stage of your plan, so that's not going to show up yet. But if you start overtraining early, you're in a downward spiral. And it's the same if you're undertraining, you're on a downward spiral because when it comes to the mileage goes up, or let's say there's a load of speed work chucked at you. And when I say speed work, I'm talking hard speed work, not just, those medium efforts. I'm talking like strong, proper intervals, strong, proper hill sprints, But if you're not done the work beforehand in the build up to them after about 6 weeks, then you ain't going to be able to give 100%. So it's a fine balance. I always say, build, take it easy, and just come into it at a nice pace. So you're ready then to leap off. Think about that airplane going down the runway. So you want to be ready to take off at the end of it for the next phase. To get up into the cruise. That's the way you got to think about it.
But what kind of is the maximum distance you should train up to?
Why are you worried about distance?
Well, I don't know. I'm just worried that.
So again, go back to my point. We're all stuck on Strava. It's not. It should be time. Really, it should be time. If you're running your first marathon, it should be more time based, time on feet.
Okay.
I appreciate there is that psychological nightmare around the 20 miler. Around the 22 mile, around the 18, should you do 20 miles? Shouldn't you do 20 miles? Should you do 24? Should you do 26 miles? There's loads of scientific evidence and reports about not going over 20 or, whatever. But in terms of your long runs, you could quite comfortably do 18 miles and still very happily finish a marathon. Look at the Hanson plans. Their longest run, I'll tell you, 16 miles.
16.
Okay.
Right. So it's not about your distance. It's about time on feet, and it's about the rest of the work you're doing in the week. I appreciate with the first marathon, you probably do want to go up to that 20 miles because psychologically, it's a point in which you know you can run to, right? And I get that. And I advise my runners, my first timers, we do put a 20 miler in at the traditional point 3 weeks out. So they've got that, excuse me, that thing to aim for. But actually, there's no real difference between them doing the 18 mile and the 20 miler. If anything, it's a more of a wrecking effect on the body, because most of the time you're doing it and you're dragging your sorry backside around. Net, you'd be better off doing a really good sort of, effort in a 16 mile than a slog 20 mile. You'd get more of an aerobic gain out of doing that. But I do appreciate psychologically, us runners, especially first time marathoners, do want to get to that, with a 2 on it. But again, I wouldn't worry. It's time. Go back to time on feet. Run for 3.5 hours. See where you get to.
Yeah.
Because after 3.5 hours on your feet, at a relative pace, you're not going to be doing much benefit really, for your body and mind, unless you're going, longer. So it all depends. I get it why you're hooked, but I wouldn't worry about it.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think so.
There will, and you're planning it. I'm guessing there's a 20 miler on there, right?
Yeah, there is. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I didn't know whether I had to go up that far or whether.
Yeah, do it. Embrace it.
Yeah.
But if you don't do it, don't think, oh God, I didn't do it, because you'll still finish the marathon if you don't get to 20 miles in your training plan.
Yeah.
You still.
I do think it's a fair point. I've done 2 marathons, so I'm not massively experienced. But I would suggest, I don't know if Sabrina agrees with me because we've got similar sort of levels of experience, that certainly doing a 20 miler gave me a big boost that I could do that when I did the first one. And I remember going back to before I did my first half marathon, I went out and I actually did 13 miles before, because I wanted to know that I could get the trip, because that became a big thing for me. So psychologically, you might want to go. What do you reckon, Saj? You go along with that?
Yeah, it does. It ticks a box, right? Because you go at that point, you've got 10K to go, and we've all run 10K hundreds of times. So there's a confidence in getting to 20 miles. But my first marathon, I had a terrible 20-mile run. I had a really good 18-mile run, really good 16, 18, got to 20 miles. It was terrible. Chris and Toby will tell you. I bumped into them, looked at them, and they went, "You're all right." And I burst into tears because it had just gone so bad.
And what do? We just carried on.
See you Wednesday.
But we all have those runs as well. Some of them will go well, some of them will feel tougher, and you kind of just have to go, do you know what, it's done, tick it off and move on from it. So I would see how your training goes, but I wouldn't worry about your 20 mile yet. I'd worry about this weekend, think about next week, take it section by section. Otherwise you can get fixated on thinking about 10 weeks ahead, when actually take each week as it comes.
Good point. Yeah, don't worry about 20 miles. It's whatever weeks away. I'm more worried about what you'll be doing tomorrow.
Yeah.
Or for you, dead aim, Sunday.
Yeah, Sunday. Yeah. Well, that's why last Sunday I kind of just went out and did 10 miles, because I was kind of like, I haven't done half marathon distance for a bit. So I was like, oh, let's see if we can do 10.
Yeah, good for you. That's the sort of mindset you want. Work with the plan, but it's only a plan.
Yeah.
Don't overthink it, but you just got to make sure when you're meant to be running easy, you are running easy. And when you're meant to go hard, you go hard. And I'm not just talking 6 out of 10. I'm talking 9 out of 10. Don't go 10 because you'll probably get injured, but go at it and max that.
See, I'm kind of guilty of, I don't go my max. Like I push a bit, but I never push that hard. Like
push.
Over half says all the time.
Rate yourself.
Hard.
It's funny. I was talking about this to someone today. Rate yourself the day after you've done the run. Rate yourself. Don't do it the day, because you're probably like fed up with running. But the day after, actually sit back and go, did I really, really give it my all? Did I give 9 out of 10 on that interval? Really? Did I? Probably not. Done a 6. That's the thing, yeah. So just have that in your mind. Rate yourself, but you should rate every run you do through marathon training. We always talk about quality over quantity. If you get into the habit of rating a run, now this is where, big shout out Strava, where Strava does have a positive effect, right? Hopefully, Wilco, that'll stop them legal action now. But that is
you're loaded.
That is a positive effect of Strava that you, and other applications, because there's many available, that you can look at that data and you can see your splits, you can look at your heart rate, and you can dive into some of the stats. I won't go overboard because you can fry your brain. But what you can do is look at and then give yourself and go, right, actually, that wasn't as bad as I thought I was, or actually I was better than I thought I was. And then you can rate yourself, because I think if you're looking at the quality of your runs over the week, again, not getting too far ahead like you've done.
Yeah.
If you're looking at and rating your individual runs and maxing it. So let's say you've got easy 40 minutes on the plan, right? 5-minute warm up, 5-minute cool down, whatever, I don't know. And then you've got a similar run the following week in the plan, because it should be in terms of getting the consistency, but it'll probably be an increase either in time or in effort. You can then go back and say, well, last week I'd probably give myself a 6 out of 10. This week, actually, because I knuckled down a bit, I saw where I slipped a little bit. I actually give myself probably about an 8 out of 10 in terms of quality. So you're constantly marking yourself and having that accountability for the quality of the run. So it stops some of that junk miles. It stops working. You stop working in some of that grey area, and you get into the point of where it takes care of itself, because you actually know after a while you don't need to look on Strava, because you will finish and you go, yeah, I worked my butt off there, and I know I worked my butt off, and you get to that stage. But because you're going into your first one, I would say think about it. Don't overthink it. Don't overload yourself. But it is worth, in some of those key runs, to mark yourself.
I mean, Al's a big fan of keeping a journal. If you want to just write a few notes about stuff, and you want to refer back to it and things like that. You know, I might be saying all these are very individual things. You know, you have to. Like with so much with in my experience, my limited experience of running, so much of it is it's just trial and error and finding out what works out for you. And if you think that, you know, making a brief note after each time you've run about how you felt, you know, even sort of like just making a note of what you wore, what trainers you had on, what top you had on, you know, what
I've had a brilliant idea
when you come in, what you had for breakfast that day, stuff like that.
I've had a brilliant idea, Wilco. I've had a brilliant idea.
Yeah.
Emailing, what's the email address?
longrunshow@gmail.com.
To order your long run show marathon journal. They're going on sale. Order in now. Bulk orders available. Email in. We're going to put one together. What I'll do, boys, I'll go and get some pads from Amazon for $5, like about 100 of them, and we just write long run on them and send them out. They won't know. Anyway, there you go. Right. We've put how many? Because we've got like, we're running out of time. Louise, is there anything burning that you need?
There's one question I'm really struggling with. So like everyone keeps saying to me about shoes and that I should be rotating them, because until today I only had one pair of road shoes.
What brand?
I've got Brooks.
How are they? Nice.
Yeah, I mean, I did have another pair of Asics, but they used to hurt my knees, so I stopped running in those.
Yeah, very overpriced.
But I've just bought a second pair of Brooks as well. So I don't know. Do I start running some runs in some and some? I don't know. I've never had to rotate before. Right.
Okay, it's a good point. It does come up. Yeah. I would recommend, yes, if you can afford it. Again, totally aware of the cost of living at the moment. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you can afford it, 2 shoes always better than 1, because you can rotate, because you will compress the midsole. You want it to come back to life a bit, and you want it, like, if you get, it sounds funny, one gets wet, you know. So the more you can rotate your shoes, it is better for you. Don't want to go to the degree that I'm at, where I'm slightly, I think, something wrong with me. But you do need to, if you can get into the pattern of having 1 or 2 pairs of shoes, it is definitely a benefit through marathon training. So you're not putting pressure on one shoes. To rotate them is a good thing.
So sorry, Chris, are you rotating like 2 similar models, or are you looking at different types of shoes for different types of runs?
It depends on you as a runner. If you're happy with the shoes you've got and they're very, very capable of doing the work that you need them to do, then get similar. No downside to that. If you're in a position where you're able to afford to get a specialist shoe, so whether it's like a more up-tempo, lighter, speedier shoe, and then get yourself, like a shoe that you're very comfortable in, like, I don't know, good example, Brooks Ghost, Brooks Glycerine 20.
Yeah, I've got Ghost.
Nice, decent long run shoe, comfortable. It's going to do everything you want. Okay, looks like you're from 1987 and it's dull. But that said, it is very good at what it's built to do. See what I did there, Wilco? Big shout out, Brooks. Trying to get myself out of a hole.
Too late for that.
It is a very good shoe at doing what it's meant to do. Yeah. So if you can get, say, a Brooks Glycerine that you could probably then run the marathon in, and then maybe a Brooks Hyperion Tempo, it's a theme here, Wilco, that you could use for your lighter, faster work and, some of your shorter stuff. And then you got your glycerine to complement it. See?
So the pair that you'd use for the marathon, how many miles should you do in them beforehand?
I really wouldn't worry about stuff like that.
Okay.
Hang on. No, actually, that's wrong. Are you thinking about the pair you've currently got that probably got 400,000 miles where you walk dogs in them?
No. No, that'd be all my road shoes. But
are you thinking what? You think you're worried that your shoes that you've currently got have probably got like 200 miles on them, and then you're now going to put another? Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah. So I've got I've got the Ghost 13s that I've been running in that I've done about 200 in, and then today I just bought a pair of 14s because they don't do the 13 anymore.
Mm-hmm.
That I was going to start trying to alternate between. But,
yeah. So maybe use your, let's say, your older ones, your tried and tested ones for your long runs because they're comfortable, right? Yeah. And then use your newer ones for your sort of, because they're a little bit fresher, might give you a bit of a pop, and you could do that. There is obviously the reverse school of thought is that you want that little bit more extra support on your longer runs. Do you see what I mean? But me personally, I would go for the ones that I feel most comfortable in. If I've got to drag my sorry backside out for 17, 18 miles, I want something I know is going to do the job and I ain't going to get any problems. So 200 miles, by the time you finish your training, your block, you're probably going to be, they're going to have a fair bit of wear on them.
Yeah.
But your Ghost 30, your 14s should have had enough miles on them then that you could then switch over into them. Does that make sense?
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
So they sort of cross over. But I would always go, personal preference, I would always go for that tried and tested pair for those longer runs because your body knows what they're like.
Yeah.
I did one where I bought two pairs that were exactly the same. One were red, one were blue, and I ran them alternate runs.
On different feet, Wilco?
No, I didn't. I
think that would have been awesome.
What I did then was they got to the stage where they both had about 200 miles in them. And then I thought, right, I'm going to pick a pair that I'm going to race in. I'll put them up for a little while, and I'll run the other ones into the ground and then pick them up again.
Were they Brooks?
Yes. But I've been trainer shopping this week.
Oh no! Oh, is this the big announcement you need to make? Louise, get ready for it. He's gone completely rogue. We've created a monster here, people. Saucony Pros. He's got Pro 2s. Look, and they match his top, which is important. So anybody listening on the pod, remember, boys and girls, it's an audio-based format.
Yes.
Wilco's holding up a brand new pair of Saucony Endorphin
They've
Pro
done 5K. They did 5K along Alderstone Road.
They did 5K today in 19 minutes. Was it Wilco? Was it 19 minutes?
Quite.
19 minutes.
There's nothing of them.
I know. He's a big fan. You remember this boy, right, a year ago, bathed in Brooks shoes. Now, Hoka's, Saucony. He's after a sponsorship deal, I think.
Well, I'm thinking now. Right, I just sorry, Louise. I apologise profusely for stealing your thunder.
Sorry.
Now, how often should I run in these?
As often as you want.
Can I do everything in these?
If you want. Tope does.
So I could do my long runs in these, you think?
Yeah.
Tope, be fair, Pro 2, long runs, mustard, innit?
I've got them on all the time now.
He lives in them.
My go-to shoe.
No, because obviously
bright yellow.
So I don't need to get something a bit more stable to do my long runs in, and just save these for a race.
Well, look,
Well,
okay. There's two schools of thoughts about this. We're very trainer heavy tonight, guys. Next week we're only going to talk about.
Well, you love trainers.
Yeah, but
What's
anyway,
your name above the door?
what I was trying to say was, you've got a shoe there with a plate in. There is some discussion about not training with a plate. So when you do go into race day and you put a plate on, that you're going to get max the benefit of it. I would say the best sort of blend is to do a little bit in them and a little bit in a non-plated shoe, because you do want to max the benefit of having the plate in it. That said, the Pro 2 is an incredible shoe for somebody who needs a mild stability shoe for, with a carbon plate in it. I mean, we put you in them, and she sold about 100 pairs locally to all her Broxbourne mates.
Well, they've got a big sale on. The World and His Wife's buying Saucony this week.
Yeah,
they're brilliant. I did everything in them, and I love them. So,
but I'm going to contradict everyone now.
Go on in.
Because the Pro 3 might be a little bit disappointing for us stability shoe wearers.
Well, that's all right, because I've just forked out for these. So
So it's a message to all our listeners: clear Saucony out of Pro 2s. If you need a slight stability shoe, buy them now, because the Pro 3s, it's not going to do the same for you. Just as a heads up, Pro 2
I know what.
Unbelievable.
I'm going to ask you a question, and I think I know what your answer is going to be. If I bought a pair of Speed 2s as well for £100, would that be a good idea?
No.
No.
No. Don't buy the Speed. You're a stability shoe wearer.
Right.
Why would you buy the Speed?
Well, because I thought they had a bit more about them and I could do me long runs in them.
Nah. They show up pronation when you really get tired. That Power Run PB with the plate, because don't forget it's got TPU or nylon plate in it, is a lot more flex in it. The third version, which we laughed about earlier, has a wider base on it, and they've played around and tuned up the plate in it, so it's got wings, and they've enhanced the upper as well to add some structure to the upper to create a little bit more of a stable ride. Because the biggest criticism of the Speed and Speed 2 was that actually at lower speeds it was slightly unstable because the foam is so soft with that reasonable stack height. So no, I would not.
I'll be better off getting another pair of them.
Yes, but actually I would recommend you go and buy a pair of Saucony Guide 15s and do your other work in them, and then use those for long runs. Is what I would recommend.
What, Guide 15?
Or the Tempest. The Tempest is an incredible shoe.
Lovely.
From Saucony. That's a brand new stability shoe. I wore it at Southend half marathon. It's got a slight bit of Power Run PB in it. It's an incredible shoe, but it has limited versatility versus the Guide, which is better suited for daily miles if you have the Pro 2. They complement each other.
Sorry, everybody, for hijacking.
Yeah, sorry. I would mainly apologise to Louise, really, Wilco.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just because you've got all those 50s in that Nike box that you need to get rid of before the tax man comes round. It's all that. All right, but yeah, cash only. We know. Yeah, one of them.
There'll be a stack of Saucony boxes there next week.
Yeah, there will be. Saucony only. He wants to deal with Saucony, I tell you. That's what it is. Louise, sorry to have you interrupted by him. What else? Is there anything burning that you need?
The only other thing I've been looking at is like the whole kind of collecting your number for the London Marathon. Like people.
Oh, Louise, why are you worrying?
Because like people are saying you should go on the Friday, not the Saturday, and I'm like, Louise, I don't know if I can get there on Friday.
Don't worry about it, mate.
Please don't panic about stuff that is in like 100 days' time. Honestly, just focus on your half marathon this weekend of doing 11:50 per mile.
11:50. I'm so gonna shoot off too fast, but I'm gonna try.
That is all on everybody who's doing London Marathon, York Marathon, Amsterdam Marathon, whatever, half marathon, Great North Run, whatever you're doing in the autumn.
Yeah.
Stop worrying about that. Focus on your next run and your next week of training, and make sure that it is of the highest quality. That's all you need to worry about, and getting the decent amount of rest and recovery. If you do that, then you're going to be winning. If you're worrying about collecting numbers from the COVID central centre that is the Excel centre, then you've got, you know, other things to worry about. Please.
When you say a rest day, what do you mean? Do nothing at all?
Well, no, rest days. I refer to rest days as active recovery days when I'm marathon training. I do try now. And he says, as you know, based on what I said at the start of this show tonight, you know, I'm struggling because I took an extra rest day today because we've had a relatively higher effort on Tuesday, so I deliberately took an extra day to recover from that. But in an ideal world, you're doing an active recovery of sorts. You should be looking at your amount of sleep. You should be looking at hydrating, nutrition, you know, stretching, everything like that on those rest days. But really, what you want to try and be is mobile without sort of doing too much. If that makes any sense. So
like
don't just sit on the sofa and watch Yellowstone.
Yeah.
I wouldn't recommend that, although it's a good show. Shout out Yellowstone if you want to sponsor the pod. But or Paramount Plus, happy to take your money. But you want to make sure that it's an active day, but not like you're, you know, going to Southend and going on the pier, you know, and doing stupid things like that. That, you know, you want to balance it out. You want to just you want to look at your recovery days as recovery days. So, you know, if you've got a busy, let's say the day you're not running, you know that's going to be busy. So the day before, maybe, you know, switch around your plan and have a less strenuous workout.
Yeah.
And that's the sort of thing you need to, again, be adaptable with what you're doing and max your recovery. Because if your recovery is no good, then you're not going to perform. You're going to be tired. You're going to be fatigued. You're going to get to that point at which we said, which is overtraining.
Yeah, because like at the minute, Sundays, I tend to do my long run because that's the day we don't normally walk dogs. So I'm like, I've got more time. But then obviously on the Monday, I'd then be doing like a 4 to 6 mile walk. So yeah, so that'd be okay as like classing as a rest day.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably more than what most people would do, which is, I said to you,
but that's that's kind of an easier day for me.
Yeah, I appreciate you. We've got to take it with a pinch of salt from you because you're a different. Again, this is why it's so cool because everybody's different. You're in a different place in terms of your fitness and your activity. You've got, unlike Toby, who claims to have an active job, you do have an active job. So it is good because you're always going. What I would say to you is actually, because of the work you do, because you are on your feet for that length of time, I would actually try and do less on that day. Yeah, I would, because you do walk a lot of miles every day and you're training as well. I would try and ease off a bit and have a day, you know, where you're doing a little bit less time on feet. You know, give yourself the opportunity to rest. Yes, it's good. You don't want to sit down, like I said, and watch Paramount Plus. Send an email, longrunshot@gmail.com. But you want to rest up to a degree, yeah. So just watch you're not overdoing it on those recovery or those active rest days, yeah.
Yeah, because that's what my mom thinks I'm doing at the minute.
Yeah, you probably are. You probably are, mate. You do need, with your job, Toby, active job down there, not you just sitting in like that beige office that you do. You know, you do need to watch that you're not going the other way and overtraining.
Yeah.
Right, we're at 103, guys.
Gosh.
We did have some technical issues. So if you're listening to the pod, we apologise now. If you know that the long run's an hour usually and you do your run for an hour because you like to listen to the whole thing, we're going to go a little bit over this week. So just go and do another kilometre. Go and do another kilometre or another mile. You'll be fine.
Keep going.
Okay, don't worry. Right, let's go. Let's quick fire admin, as many as you can in 5 minutes.
All right, cool. Gavin is looking for a 4-hour target finish for the first marathon. Alpha Fly 1 or Vaporfly 2?
2. No. 1, if it's his, is it his first, did you say?
Yeah, first marathon, Alpha Fly 1 or the Vaporfly 2. Which shoe?
I thought you said Alpha Fly 2. I'd go Alpha Fly 1.
All right, cool. Anthony Ferris says this is the best time of his week, and he is doing a half marathon in September, currently in a 14-week training block. 2 weeks after, he's running a 10K. What do you do in between? Rest or run light?
Listen to your body. Listen to your body. Recover well, but don't over rest. Make sense? So you want to make sure you are recovered, but at the same time you want to keep the lights on.
Cool. An unknown user. Any tips on how to strengthen the knees?
We'll answer that when Al's back next week. He's our PT, qualified to talk about it. He'll be back from Florida. No doubt would have booked himself into a proper home.
And possibly the last one, Nicole says she's going to try and run her first marathon. How fast should she be running her long runs?
I missed. I will try to run my first marathon in 4.5 hours. Nicole, if it's your first marathon, take the time away. Don't think about, I'm going to run 4.5 hours. It's the worst thing you do in terms of putting pressure on yourself. Just say, I'm going to try and run under 5 hours and see what happens. So don't take that, but don't put that extra pressure of running a time in your first marathon. Just get the distance done is my advice to you. I appreciate, though, you do want some sort of target in your long runs. I would be doing your long runs pretty much at easy pace, whatever that is. If you can, put elements of goal pace in there, but not too much, because again, you're going through this for the first time. Ideally, you're just looking to complete the distance. So I wouldn't want to bust you up by doing too much goal pace work in your first marathon on those long runs. So look at what your easy pace is, and then drop it down a little bit for the last, 2 miles or something. But again, don't overdo it. And personally, don't give yourself a target on your first marathon other than to finish it and to enjoy the experience. It's a hard thing, people. Marathon train, because of lockdown, and there's all these joggers out there like me. Everybody's gone, I'm going to do a marathon. I'm going to do a half marathon, and we're going to be awesome. And, you get caught up in running times. I go back to my point at the start about app-based products where everybody's putting stuff on. So everybody's focused on time. Everybody's focused on distance. Forget it. Just go out there with your plan. Stick to your goals that you've got within your plan in terms of running for time or running distance, whatever the way your plan's built up. But for your first marathon, guys, if you are listening to this and it's your first marathon, just go out there and get the distance done. It is bleeding hard to finish a marathon, especially your first one. Be under no illusion how difficult that is. And at mile 21, 22, 23, or even at mile 13, it will show up and it will bite you in the bum. And you've got to be able to mentally beat the marathon. So don't put any extra pressure on yourself going, oh, I'm going too slow to be able to get my 4.5 marathon. I'm starting to walk. Oh, I'm never going to get that 4.5 hour marathon. Forget it. Start walking. Who cares? Still got to finish it. Take that pressure away from yourself. Cleanse your body. Get rid of that. Yeah. Unburden your mind of time for your first marathon. Go there, enjoy it, tick the box, and then sign up for your second one.
I think we ought to wind up.
Jones, are you taking on clients? I'm full, but email me. We'll try and figure something out.
I hope that's hopeful, Gary. I hope everything's been helpful. Apologies again for a few technical difficulties, but I'm sure that
Toby's fault.
I'd like to think that we've managed to provide some value to your Friday night anyway. And Louise, I hope it's been helpful for you too.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Louise,
come back in a few
email
weeks.
in. What's the email address, Wilco?
longrunShow@gmail.com.
We want to see our friend Strava print out 11. What is it, admin?
11:45 to 11:50.
It's got to come in. Otherwise, you don't get the t-shirt.
Okay.
Thanks ever so much, Louise, for coming.
Every mile.
Huh?
Every mile.
Every mile.
Every mile.
Well, I've never done a mile the same. Okay.
That's the point, dear. That's what we're trying to get you to do. So
Yeah.
you don't go bananas at the start.
Yeah.
First 3 miles, like we got to go, but first 3 miles at London, you're going to get so caught up with everybody else going ballistic. You've got to train yourself now to be getting some ownership of your running and your pace and what you're doing at the start and within that run and get that authority within owning that run. So start now on Sunday, 11:50, t-shirt coming your way.
Okay.
Thanks ever so much for joining us, Louise. Hope we'll catch up with you in a few weeks and see how you're getting on. We look forward to that. Sabrina, thanks ever so much for coming in. We'd love to see you as always. You always bring extra value to this ragamuffin outfit. So thanks ever so much for coming and wish you all the best. And hopefully I'll see you Tuesday if you're fighting fit and raring to go.
If she's back from holiday, Toby.
It's a bit harsh, that, isn't it? Well, yeah. Well, we wish you all very well. You and Tobe on your secret mission tomorrow. We look forward to hearing all about that.
We're going to be able to talk about it for 2 weeks.
Okay. Well, thanks ever so much for everybody who's bothered to, who's stuck with us through nearly 70 minutes of this rubbish. Thanks ever so much for joining us. You can send us your emails to longrunshow.
Get it right, Wilco. Come on.
longrunshow@gmail.com.
Well done.
And we'll have a look at them and hopefully include some next week. We didn't get through too many today, but we've had a packed show with lots of technical difficulties. You can download us on your podcast provider of choice, whether that's Spotify, Amazon, all the others, Apple. Rate us, review us, tell us how lovely we are, and that would be great too. We'll be back next week, courtesy of our friends at Sketchers, to have a chat at 7 o'clock on YouTube and Facebook. If you want to join us live, thank you very much. We will see you next week. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Toe. Run titles, please. Sir.